Exposed: How I Transformed Heartbreak into Inspiration After My Family's Dream Vacation in France. It was a trip we had dreamed of for years. Pictures of the Eiffel Tower hung in our living room, a beacon of hope for a brighter future. But instead of the picturesque escape we imagined, France shattered our family into pieces. The moment we landed, chaos consumed us. My mother's face, once filled with excitement, twisted into frustration over lost luggage. My dad's brows furrowed, trying to manage our budget, along with his rising anger. As emotions boiled over in our cramped little car on the way home, I felt my heart crack, shards of glass scattering inside me. "Sarah, it was supposed to be a bonding experience," my mom yelled. Dad's silence spoke volumes, an unsteady wall of pride and disappointment. I held my breath, wishing for the air of France, the charming cafes, the art that whispered secrets and stories. Instead, the quick turns and bumpiness of the car felt like life knocking us around. The cracks once hidden within our family, the silent struggles to make ends meet, now echoed everywhere. My dreams of becoming a writer slipped further away, painted over by the stark realities of a paycheck-to-paycheck existence. Our vacation turned sour, though moments lingered like bated breaths. I wished to sit under Parisian skies, pen in hand, spinning tales of wonder. Reality was I was stuck serving tables, pouring coffee for travelers and whispering dreams into busy spaces. My audience, the regulars at the diner who barely noticed me. But then Mr. Jenkins waltzed in one rainy afternoon. A retired veteran, he wore wisdom like a warm coat, many stories stitched into the fabric of his being. He ordered black coffee, a smile accompanying memories of comrades lost and battles fought, opening doors to his resilient spirit. Each story he shared drew me in, igniting my fading hopes. I spent nights pouring raw emotion into a blog, conjuring every tear, every laugh around that kitchen table filled with simmering silence. My heartbreaking essay on our shattered vacation caught fire online. The hidden struggles of the middle class resounded across Twitter like a siren song. Suddenly, my words echoed in thousands of hearts, sparking conversations on struggles I lived each day. A flicker of purpose dawned on me, the kind of purpose that bends fate to our will. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue, but with this newfound recognition came judgment. My parents discovered my viral blog raw and unedited. Their expressions shifted from shock to sorrow. In that moment, the air thickened with unspoken truths, past resentments raced to the surface. Their fears of failure collided with visions of a daughter daring to dream. I felt the distance grow and dread seep in, leaving me torn between chasing ambitions and staying true to family loyalty. Summer evenings passed under flickering streetlights, laughter from neighbors a reminder of what was at stake. Here I stood, pen poised but heart heavy, a decision loomed over me like storm clouds. Choose between the path my heart longed for or remain anchored to my family's expectations. As I faced the silent choice, one thing became clear: dreams and family love are often mismatched, but sometimes, hope ignites even in the darkest of stories. What would I choose in this cacophony of heartbeats and voices? The answer hovered just out of reach. The sun began to dip below the horizon, painting the sky in dusky shades of orange and purple. That evening, the air crackled with tension at home. My parents sat at the kitchen table, silent but fierce in their own worlds. The remnants of takeout lingered, their half-eaten meals echoing the disarray in our lives. I could sense their confusion and frustration, but I was too wrapped up in my own turmoil to find the right words. Would it be a betrayal to share my voice when theirs trembled with doubt? My laptop sat on the dining table, the screen glowing softly, but I hesitated. The urge to write surged within me like a tide. Where could my words take me if I just dared to overflow onto the page? With every breath, I felt the weight of expectation hanging above me. Nerves danced in my stomach like butterflies ready to take flight, and so I picked up my pen. Yet, even as I poured my heart into my writing, shadows of judgment loomed overhead. How would they react if I spoke of things that remained unspoken? My blog had found a life of its own, but what if it led to a rupture with my family? I held my breath, thinking of the vulnerability I displayed. The hidden struggles of the middle class was art, but it cut to bone. Each keystroke trembled with truth, agonizing honesty spilling out in ways I never intended. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. I jumped, my heart racing. It was Jenna, my childhood friend, the one person who understood my struggles better than anyone. She breezed into the room, her laughter brightening the dim space. "You won't believe it. I just finished reading your blog. It's incredible. You need to keep writing." She squeezed my shoulder, her eyes gleaming with enthusiasm. A wave of warmth washed over me, but I felt it collide with my swirling concerns. "You really think so?" I asked, a knot forming in my throat. "But what if my parents—" "Your parents?" She interrupted, her brow furrowed. "You can't stop because you're scared of them. You have a gift, Sarah. Share it." Her words poured into my heart like sunlight breaking through a storm. In that moment, I saw a flicker of clarity amidst the chaos. We sat, talking long into the evening, laughter mingling with our dreams. Jenna reminded me of the beauty of authenticity. "Don't let fear keep you from what you love," she said softly, as if she could read the turmoil that churned inside me. "Write for you. And if they don't understand, it's their loss." As the night wore on, I realized that my dream of being a writer was tied to a larger journey. Maybe it wasn't just about escaping my family's expectations, but about finding my own voice amidst their fears. I took a deep breath and let the words flow, empowered into the late hours, pen gliding over paper. Yet, the shadows still lingered. What would my parents think if I pushed forward, scraping away layers of secrecy? Perhaps the weight wouldn't lift until I addressed the rift caused by my own need for honesty. Could I brave the storm brewing between ambition and family? The answer didn't come easily. But as I watched the moon rise, a sense of resolve washed over me. The soul-searching had only just begun. One question echoed a little louder. How would I confront my parents about my ambitions and lay bare the truth I had buried? That thought loomed large as I turned off my laptop, the silence palpable. The night whispered possibilities, but I knew the next day would demand courage. Would I choose the path of vulnerability, even at the risk of rupture? The answers would shape my story. My journey had only just taken flight. The next morning dawned bright and clear, the sun spilling gold across my bedroom floor. Yet instead of feeling energized, my heart thudded heavily in my chest. Today was the day I had to face my parents, to open the floodgates of honesty. As I sat on the edge of my bed, I could still taste the bittersweet retreat of last night's epiphany. With a deep breath, I dressed, choosing a simple navy shirt that reminded me of the ocean. Something about its familiarity calmed my racing thoughts as I made my way downstairs, the familiar scent of coffee drifting through the air. Mom was at the kitchen counter, stirring something in a pot. I watched her for a moment, her back turned, shoulders tense. Dad flicked through the newspaper at the table, his brows knitted in concentration. "Good morning," I said, my voice steady even as my insides twisted. They both responded with nods, wrapped up in their own worlds like usual. "Can we talk?" I managed, the words tumbling out, surprising even me. This was at the moment I'd been both dreading and longing for. Mom turned, and her eyes widened, but she quickly disguised it with a small smile. "Of course. What's on your mind?" I hesitated, the words caught in my throat. Jenna's encouragement echoed in my ears. "Right for you." Taking a seat, I steeled myself. "I want to talk about my blog." The air thickened, the silence so loud I could hear my heart thumping. Dad looked up from his newspaper, his expression unreadable. "What about it?" he asked slowly, as if he already knew where this was headed. "I've been writing about our family struggles," I confessed, my voice trembling slightly. "About what it's like to grow up in a middle-class household, dealing with expectations and hardships. It's my truth, and I want to share it with the world." Mom's eyes darkened, a familiar look of worry settling on her features. Sarah, do you really think that essay a good idea? What if someone sees it? What if? What if they see the truth? I interrupted, my passion bubbling over like a pot about to boil. What if people connect with it? I don't want to keep hiding anymore. I need to be honest. Dad leaned back in his chair, folding the newspaper with a deliberate movement. You think it'll be easy? People can be judgmental. They might not understand. Or they might feel less alone, I shot back. I could feel the heat rising in my cheeks and a lump forming in my throat. Isn't that worth something? Silence engulfed us as I watched my parents exchange glances. The tension wrapped around me like a vice, squeezing tighter with each passing second. Then, almost surprisingly, Mom sighed, her shoulders slumping. You're right, Sarah. It can be powerful, but it can also be heavy. Are you prepared for that? I nodded slowly. I think so. I can't keep living someone else's story. I want my voice to matter. Their faces softened, but I could still detect the worry etched on their brows. Suddenly, my phone chimed from the table, echoing through the quiet room. It was Jenna. Just posted my latest entry. Can't wait to hear what you think. The message hit me like a lightning bolt. What if I invited Mom and Dad to read her latest post? Just as I was about to mention it, Dad shifted in his chair. We just want what's best for you, Sarah, he murmured, looking at me earnestly. I know, I replied softly, feeling the ground beneath me shift. But maybe I need to find out what that is for myself. As I breathed in the moment, my stomach fluttered with anticipation. I glanced at my parents, determination burning within me. I was ready to fortify my path, but before I could speak again, the silence was broken by another notification. What if I shared your post too? I suggested, my voice stronger than before. Maybe it'll bridge the gap, help us all understand. Mom's eyes widened again, this time with intrigue. What do you mean? But before I could answer, the urgency of the thought echoed back in my mind. I had opened a door, but would it lead to connection or chaos? The decision loomed before me like a storm gathering on the horizon. Would they finally hear my voice, my truth? The fight for my identity had just begun. And deep down, I knew that the real journey was only about to unfold. I watched their expressions shift, a blend of curiosity and apprehension flashing across my parents' faces. Mom's brow furrowed as she processed what I had just suggested. You want us to read Jenna's post about what exactly? I felt a rush of urgency. Time was not on my side. Her latest entry, it's about embracing honesty and vulnerability. I think it could be a stepping stone for us. Why do you think that? Dad asked, his tone cautious, but open. Because Jenna writes about her struggles too. She shares how it feels to be misunderstood and how opening up has helped her heal. I want you to see that it's possible to talk about our own challenges too. I could feel the tension dissipating a bit, replaced with a slight glimmer of hope. Mom hesitated, glancing at Dad, who was now leaning forward, his elbows resting on the table. And you think sharing this will help us connect? I really do, I answered, my voice more confident than I felt. If we can see that others are in similar situations, maybe we'll understand each other better. You'll see that I'm not alone in this fight. There was a moment of silence, thick with unspoken words. Mom bit her lip, and I could almost see the wheels turning in her mind. Finally, she nodded slowly. Okay. Let us read it together. My heart raced as I took out my phone, fingers trembling as I navigated to Jenna's blog. Here it is, I said, handing the screen to Mom. I could tell she was filtering through her worry while Dad peered at the words over her shoulder. Their eyes scanned the first sentences, both of them frowning as the story unfolded. Jenna spoke about being judged for her authenticity, feeling like a fraud in a world that valued superficiality. She wrote about her journey to self-acceptance, detailing moments when she felt lost and alone but eventually found strength through her experiences. As I watched my parents read, I felt a mixture of hope and fear. Would they see themselves in Jenna's words? Or would it hit too close to home, unearthing truths we were afraid to face? I kept watching their expressions, the lines on Mom's forehead deepening. The way Dad's mouth turned into a thin line made my stomach knot. When they got to the part where Jenna revealed how sharing her truth helped her connect with others, I felt a flicker of possibility. Mom glanced up, her eyes glistening. "This is," she began, trailing off, lost for words. "It's raw," Dad added quietly, reading something between the lines. "She really puts her heart on display." "Exactly," I exclaimed, my voice barely above a whisper. "If we can learn from someone else's story, maybe we can find the courage to share our own." "Sarah," Mom said, her voice tender, "this is what you want? To be vulnerable?" "I want to be real," I replied, the weight of my words heavy but freeing. "I want us to be open with each other. No more pretending everything's perfect. We have our struggles, and that's okay." I could see the gears turning in their minds, walls constructed from years of silence beginning to crack. It was a small movement, but it felt monumental. "We don't know how to do this," Dad admitted quietly, his demeanor shifting slightly. Mom nodded, tears welling in her eyes. "You're brave, Sarah. But I'm worried." "Of what?" I asked gently, afraid to shatter this delicate moment. "What if others don't understand? What if it hurts you?" She pointed out, her voice trembling. "What if it helps?" I countered, reaching across the table. "What if it brings us closer?" They looked at each other, silent conversation darting between them. I held my breath, waiting for the dawn of realization to break upon them. I didn't want to look away. I didn't want to miss this fragile moment where possibility hung in the air, but just then, my phone buzzed again. My heart sank as I saw a notification pop up from Jenna. "Can't wait to see how your parents react." That was it. This was going to be a journey. A raw and realistic journey from here on out. But as I cast a hopeful glance at my parents, I knew it was worth the risk. Little did I know, this was just the beginning of our awakening, and the path to our truth was about to lead us somewhere unexpected. The silence stretched in the room as the last notes of Jenna's post danced in the air, lingering like the scent of fresh coffee. I could see my parents processing everything, their expressions a weathered canvas of concern, and something warmer starting to take shape. It was a hurdle, but one we were finally willing to confront together. Do you think Jenna ever felt like we do?" Mom finally broke the stillness, her voice carrying both fragility and strength. "I think she did," I replied, my heart pounding. "She writes about feeling out of place, just like I do at times. We're all fighting our battles. And maybe it doesn't have to be a battle anymore," Dad mused, his brows knitting together thoughtfully. "Maybe just sharing our stories can lighten that load." My breath caught in my throat. "Exactly. That's all I'm asking for." Mom leaned back, considering. "What if we start with small steps? Maybe not all at once?" "Sure, but we should be honest. And if things get hard, we just stay honest." I felt a spark ignite within me, a shared fire kindling in the room as her eyes widened, mirroring my excitement. "I've been feeling like I'm lost," she eventually admitted. "Like I'm swimming upstream while everything is rushing past me." "We've all felt that way," Dad interjected softly, a hint of sorrow in his tone. "I think we're just so used to pushing it down, afraid of what happens if we let it out." My fingers tightened on my phone, feeling the weight of our conversation imparting texture into the moment. "Maybe starting with Jenna's example can give us the courage to speak," I pointed out, my heart fluttering as I spoke. As we discussed, hints of laughter floated around too, surprising us amidst the serious undertone, a shared joke about my last family vacation mishap. It was a hopeful reminder that, even in deeper conversations, lightness could peek through. "I remember that trip and how chaotic it was, but those are the moments that made us who we are together," Mom smiled, her gaze meeting mine with warmth. "Exactly." I felt a rush of excitement. "Look at how far we've come since then. Each of those trips brought us closer, despite the bumps." Dad chuckled, like the time our hotel room had a broken air conditioner in the middle of July. The laughter spilled over, a delicious balm to the earlier tension. I knew we weren't fully there yet. We were only just beginning. But even amid brighter moments, I felt an ache. What if this doesn't work? What if we open up and it becomes painful? "Inspiration from pain often leads to the most beautiful transformations," Mom replied softly, her eyes catching the light with a sincerity that pulled at my heartstrings. "We can have hope, Sarah." I nodded, but beneath my resolve, I sensed the undercurrent of fear still thrumming. However, hope emerged as a flowing river weaving through the rocks of uncertainty, pushing us forward. As we shifted gears, deciding to craft our family story together, laying our plans out like bricks to build a more honest foundation, I felt excitement bubbling amidst the uncertainty. Let us start with our own story first. A little at a time, I said, looking at them both. A little intro, maybe even about our last vacation? That's a glimpse into who we are. To warm us up. My parents exchanged glances, their mutual nod invigorating. As they shifted closer, eagerness beamed off them, wrapping us together in shared adventure. Then I'll write it from my point of view, I added, the idea pouring out like sunlight breaking through. And we'll see where it leads us. But just then, a new message appeared on my phone, lighting up the screen again. It was from Jenna once more. Excited for your family's first post. You have no idea how many people will relate. My heart raced. What if we really could connect with more than just one another? The exhilaration of new possibilities surged, but there was no denying the weight of our decision. Were we truly ready to lay ourselves bare not just to each other, but to the world? Would we embrace the journey ahead, wherever it might lead us, with a combination of fear and hope swirling in my chest? I couldn't help but wonder, could our truth resonate beyond our home, and in turn, heal us all along the way? The next day, the morning sun streamed through the kitchen window as I sat at the table, laptop open, fingers poised above the keys. The faint scent of pancakes wafted in from the stove, but my mind was elsewhere, wrestling with the weight of the task ahead. I glanced up to see my parents talking quietly, a simmering excitement blending with the nervous energy that had infiltrated our home. Sarah, can you help me set the table? Dad called out, breaking my train of thought. Of course, I answered, pushing the laptop aside for a moment. As I moved around the kitchen, I caught snippets of their conversation. They spoke about which photos to choose, how to introduce us, and I couldn't help but feel a rush of pride. This was my family, standing together, ready to share our truth. With the table set, we gathered together, food before us, and I could feel our unity. It was tangible, almost electric. What do you think our first post should look like? I asked, excitement bubbling. Mom smiled, looking thoughtful. Maybe we could draw on the chaos of our last vacation. Like the day we got lost in Paris. A laugh escaped Dad. Or when I accidentally ordered snails instead of a croissant. The memories washed over us, and I felt warmth swell in my heart. It was our chaos, and how wonderful it was to own it together. Let us start with something genuine, I suggested, my fingers tapping the table in rhythm with my thoughts. We could share what we felt during that trip, how it changed us. Like reconnecting despite the chaos? Dad's voice held a weight that carried through the room. Exactly, I said eagerly. And how we learned to laugh at ourselves. As we dove into sharing ideas, I noticed Mom hesitating. What if it doesn't resonate with anyone else? What if they laugh not with us, but at us? My heart sank for a moment. I understood her fear. Vulnerability often felt like an open wound, exposed to the world. But I reached over and squeezed her hand reassuringly. That's why we're doing this. To show we're human. We're not perfect, and that's okay. Dad nodded, his hand finding Mom's other side. We share our stories for connection, not perfection. As we finalized our outline, I felt a knot of fear still lingering, but was pushed back by hope. Our truth felt alive, igniting the room. Finally, we stepped into our computer sanctuary, my space where ideas could soar. I opened a new document, the cursor blinking expectantly. This is it, I whispered, more to myself than anyone else. The start of something new. I wrote furiously, drawing from our memories, my fingers flying as they brought our vacation story to life. The sights, the sounds, the laughter, the misunderstandings. The tangled yarn of our lives was beginning to unravel on the screen. Mom leaned closer. Can you include that one moment where we tried to navigate the subway? Yes, I added, fueling the fire of creativity. And how we learned to rely on each other in those moments. Laughter echoed as we recalled funny mishaps, the memories suffusing us with warmth. But as we shared, I suddenly hesitated. What's wrong? Dad asked, his brow furrowing. It's just, what if sharing this makes the pain resurface? Mom's expression softened, brimming with understanding. Pain is part of healing, Sarah. If we face it together, it won't feel as heavy. Those words sank deep. Could I really use our stories, even painful ones, to create something beautiful? Shivers ran down my spine at the thought. Okay, let us do it, I said, a newfound determination igniting within me. We'll embrace it all, our joy and our struggles. As the words flowed, my heart raced with exhilaration. Could we inspire others while inspiring ourselves? The thought consumed me, pushing us forward. But just as we reached a pivotal moment, a familiar chime echoed from my phone, breaking the rhythm of our creativity. Another message from Jenna? With curiosity and a flutter of nerves, I answered, got something special for you guys. Trust me, you'll want to see this. What could Jenna be planning? I glanced at my parents, who wore expressions of intrigue mixed with uncertainty. This journey had just begun, and even though the thrill pulsed through me, a new question hung in the air. What unexpected turn awaited us? I hesitated, staring at the screen. Jenna's message lingered like an unanswered question. My heart raced, wondering what she had in store. I wanted to absorb every moment with my family, but something about her excitement pulled at my attention. Who is Jenna? Dad asked, only half paying attention. He was busy adjusting the seat at the kitchen table and placing the syrup closer to the pancakes. Oh, just a friend from school, I replied, trying to sound casual. She's been really supportive about our project. Support is good, Mom said. Her tone was light, but I saw the flicker of curiosity in her eyes. With a deep breath, I decided to keep the momentum. Let me get this. It could be related to what we're doing. I reached for my phone, heart thumping louder. What could she possibly have? I opened the message, and my eyes widened. There was a video link. My stomach twisted in knots. She sent a video. I'm nervous, I admitted. Why? What could it be? Mom asked, her brow knitting in concern. It's probably just her latest TikTok or something, I shrugged, trying to downplay my anxiety, but feeling it swell all the same. I clicked the link, the screen filling with Jenna's face, beaming and animated. Hey, everyone. I'm so excited to share this, Jenna chirped, her voice filled with an infectious energy. I know you guys have been working on your story, and I thought, why not share it with the world in a fun way? My heart sank as she proceeded to unveil her plan about creating a joint social media campaign to showcase our family's journey. My family's journey. Imagine it. A video series, highlights of your biggest moments in France, the mishaps and the laughs. Jenna practically bounced in her seat. We could transform it into something beautiful and absolutely iconic. Mom glanced at Dad, her lips pressed together in thought. That sounds risky, she murmured. It's a great idea. I chimed in, feeling a swell of hope mixed with apprehension. It could reach people who feel lost. We could show them it's okay to stumble. But then the shadow of uncertainty returned. What if it exposes too much? Exposes? Jenna's voice cut through the screen. No, it's about honesty. That's what will connect you to others. You can't be afraid to let people in. Her enthusiasm was palpable, but a tiny worm of dread squirmed in my stomach. I want to be honest, I said softly, looking at my parents. I don't want it to backfire. Mom took my hand. Honesty can be healing, but yeah, Dad jumped in. What are the risks? What if this opens up old wounds? As we dissected the options, Jenna continued talking about behind-the-scenes clips, before and after shots, and interactions we could feature. My mind whirled. The idea was brilliant, but the pressure felt immense, almost suffocating. Mom finally broke through my spiraling thoughts. You know, Sarah, remember when we stood at that beautiful cafe in Montmartre? We were uncertain but happy. Maybe that's our story. The moments where everything was perfect, even amidst mistakes. That image filled my mind, washing away some of the tension. Paris turned magical again, and the prospect began to lighten my heart. Our journey was worth sharing, right? But I hesitated, glancing back at the screen. What if sharing makes it harder for us? What if it brings up everything we tried to overcome? Or, Jenna interjected through the video, it could help someone else to see they're not alone. Trust me, you wouldn't believe how many people need to hear your story. I felt a surge of conflicting emotions, fear, excitement, hope. Looking at my parents, I searched for their expressions. They wore a mix of apprehension and encouragement. Are we ready? I asked nervously. We exchanged glances, the weight of the decision hanging in the air. The computer screen flickered softly, and the inevitable buzz of our lives was at the door. Could we really move into this unknown space together? What awaited us on the other side of that leap? As a new message popped up on my phone from Jenna, my pulse quickened again. Guys, you'll never guess what I found out from a friend. About our school's influence. Trust me, you'll want to hear this. My heart raced, both excited and terrified. What ripple was this going to send through the world we were braving to expose? My fingers hovered above the screen as I read Jenna's message again. The promise of some exciting news made my heart race with possibilities. Curiosity tugged at me, and I felt a slight thrill mixed with dread at what the next revelation might entail. Could it potentially change everything? Sarah? You okay? My mom's voice pulled me from my thoughts. I blinked, realizing I had merely been staring at my phone. Yeah, just thinking, I finally replied, trying to mask the whirlwind in my mind. Thinking about what? Dad chimed in, his plate barely touched. I could tell the pancakes were just a backdrop to his concern. The project, you know. I lifted the device as if it were a shield. Jenna sent me some more ideas. More ideas? Mom leaned closer, intrigued. Are we all in this now? I nodded hesitantly. I think we should talk about it more together, as a family. Dad asked, his eyes shifting between me and Mom. Absolutely, I replied, feeling a little more assurance as I noticed the optimistic glow on my parents' faces. They wanted to dive into this too. Before long, the atmosphere shifted as Mom and Dad stepped into the conversation. Mom shared stories from when she was younger, how she felt scared, yet thrillingly alive, venturing into the unknown. Dad added sage advice, his voice steady. Nothing valuable comes without a bit of risk. If it's important to you all, then let us explore it. Their support flooded me with warmth. We began to brainstorm how to approach Jenna's ideas, each of us pitching in thoughts about what loved ones might resonate with. It felt good to collaborate. Between jokes about Dad's dance moves and Mom's affection for bad reality TV, the laughter bounced around the kitchen. I could feel the weight of fear lightening. We were in this together. Imagine if we share the trip's highs and lows, I suggested, excitement bubbling up. We could show how we came together as a family. Dad wiped a syrupy finger on his napkin. And what if we made it a challenge? Each of us sees something different and gives our perspective. We could show it all, every little mistake and every sweet moment of joy. That's it, I exclaimed, feeling a jolt of inspiration. It could be a video diary of sorts, raw and real. We could all take turns sharing our thoughts. The smiles around the table twisted into mischievous grins as each passing moment ignited more ideas. A montage of clips began to form in my mind, showcasing everything: the chaos of trying to navigate Paris, the family bickering over directions, and those quiet moments, leaning against the Eiffel Tower, remembering why these memories mattered. Maybe we do something like a countdown, 47 days until we leave. I added, my enthusiasm growing. The table erupted with chatter, and for the first time, I felt almost fearless. Yes, we were going to do this. Our journey wasn't just our own. It could resonate with countless others. But then, as I scrolled through the messages again, a chilling thought slipped in. What would happen when we exposed our truths to the world? My phone vibrated, interrupting my worry spiral. Jenna's latest message read, "Trust me. You'll want to know what I've uncovered about the story we're about to tell. Let us chat soon." With every pulse of the notification, my heart beat a little faster. What did she find? What truths lay hidden in those words? As I stole a glance at my parents, I knew one thing for sure: whatever we were heading into would be anything but straightforward. Okay, who's ready for this adventure? I finally asked, my voice betraying a mix of excitement and fear, and then, just as the heat of moments settled, I felt the flutter of a new realization. What if we were not just sharing our struggles, but reawakening them fully? What was really behind Jenna's enthusiasm? A sudden tension formed, cementing my anxiety. What awaited us in this new chapter, and how much were we willing to expose? The excitement from our brainstorming session lingered in the air, yet I couldn't shake that nagging feeling deep inside. As my parents chatted about packing lists and potential filming locations, I stared out the kitchen window, half listening, half lost in my thoughts. The sun illuminated the yard, casting familiar shadows, but nothing felt certain anymore. "Sarah, do you think you can deal with the editing?" Mom's voice pulled me back, and I nodded slowly. I wasn't sure if it was the editing that worried me or the weight of the stories we were about to share. "Of course," I said, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach my eyes. The sounds of laughter and family echoed around me, but another truth hovered just outside. Jenna's cryptic message gnawed at my mind, each word unraveling a mystery I wasn't sure I was ready to face. "Well then, let us get the ball rolling," Dad cheered, glancing at the wall clock. "Before we know it, we'll be on that plane heading for adventure." We all dispersed, my parents buzzing with the energy of family excitement, while I drifted back to the living room, phone in hand, staring at Jenna's text once more. Little beads of uncertainty formed on my brow as I wondered what kind of truth she had unearthed. Out of instinct, I scrolled back through our chat. Jenna had always been a little enigmatic brilliant in her own right, full of passionate ideas that seemed to illuminate the path ahead. But lately, there had been an urgency in her messages that felt heavier than before. What had she discovered? I took a deep breath, and my thumb hovered over the screen, hesitating. Before hitting send, I decided to prepare myself. I drafted a message. "Can we talk tonight? I need to know more about your findings." My heart raced as I pressed send. Later that evening, my parents had retreated to their typical TV routine. But instead of joining them, I found myself pacing in the quiet solitude of my room, waiting for a reply. My fingers drummed against my desk as doubt seeped in. What if Jenna's revelation shattered the air of excitement we had just built? It felt like the sky shifted outside, a subtle reminder that storms, sometimes unexpected, were waiting just beyond the horizon. The pings of my phone disrupted the silence. My heart leapt as I saw her name flash on the screen. "Let us chat at 8. Trust me, you need to hear this." The clock slipped closer to 8, and each tick felt exaggerated, the ticking echoing the racing thoughts in my head. I thought about our project, a chance to be authentic, to peel back layers and show our family for who we truly were. Yet, what lay beneath? Every family had secrets, and maybe ours would surface in this journey. Suddenly, my phone rang. Jenna's face filled the screen, her energy electric. "Hey, thanks for calling," she said, barely containing her enthusiasm. "Hey, what is going on? You mentioned you found something significant?" My voice wavered. Jenna leaned closer to the camera, her eyes wide. "You won't believe it, Sarah. I dug up information, and it connects to our family's past. Something we never talked about, something that could change how we view things entirely." Her words struck like lightning, igniting an array of emotions. Uneasiness crept in, a mix of anticipation and fear. What did this mean for the project? What truths would we have to unearth? My heart raced as I realized this journey might not just reshape our family, but also redefine how we shared our own story with the world. "Are you ready?" Jenna asked, her tone serious yet charged. "Ready?" The question churned in my mind. Was anyone ever truly ready to unearth what lay hidden? The weight of our past began to feel like an anchor, holding us back even as we prepared to soar. My breath caught as I listened to her next words, which would determine the course ahead. What history did she uncover, and would we seize this chance to embrace it even if it tore open old wounds? Could the answers we sought also bring us an unexpected gift, or frighten us into silence? "Sarah, are you there?" Jenna's voice pierced through my fog. "Yeah, I'm here," I replied, already knowing the truth might be waiting around the corner, ready to change everything. Was it time to lean into our fears, or would this project become a deeper dive into our vulnerabilities? That was the question that lingered heavy on my heart as I braced for the conversation ahead. Would revealing our past give us strength, or would it expose wounds we thought were long healed? The warmth of the evening sun transformed into a cool breeze as the phone call with Jenna concluded. Everything felt electric yet terrifying. The prospect of unearthing family truths stood before me like an open door, with infinite possibilities lying on the other side. I stared out at the world, contemplating whether those hidden stories would bring us together or tear us apart. Sitting at my desk, I found it hard to shake off the weight of Jenna's revelation. Whatever secrets lurked in our past could potentially shift our family narrative, converting casual anecdotes into profound stories that demanded respect and understanding. But at the same time, they also hinted at vulnerability, a path fraught with anxiety. Dinner that night was a subdued affair. My parents spoke animatedly about our potential trip, but I felt disconnected, my mind swirling with fear and excitement. As my father recounted his excitement over the baguettes in Paris, I found it hard to focus. I knew that unveiling our stories, exploring our past, would make our bond stronger, but could also lead to truths none of us were prepared to confront. Later, as I rejoined them in the living room, a sense of responsibility washed over me. I felt like a tightrope walker, balancing between the past and present. But one thing became strikingly clear: if we were to undertake this journey together, honesty was mission critical. We needed to arm ourselves with understanding before we journeyed into the heart of vulnerability. Can we talk? I broke the silence, standing before them, a tremor rippling through my voice. My parents exchanged curious glances, and I knew I had their attention. About what? Mom asked, a hint of worry behind her calm demeanor. The project Jenna's idea. Exploring our family past. It's really going to take us deeper than we anticipated, I replied, bracing myself as I shared my thoughts. I feel we need to prepare ourselves for what we might discover. My dad shifted in his chair, leaning toward me. What do you really think we'll find? I think it's going to expose things we might not want to confront, I continued. But we also have the chance to reshape how we view our story together. We can either let fear guide us or allow the healing to come through honest conversations. Mom's gaze softened. You might be right, Sarah. Avoiding it might keep us stuck. So how do we prepare for the unknown? Dad asked, his brow furrowing as he processed the implications. We talk, I said simply. We share our feelings, our fears, and allow for openness. We need to face the murky waters together before diving in, so we're not caught off guard. Their expressions shifted, hinting at understanding. I could see it in their eyes. They felt the pull of honesty too. There was a vulnerability in considering their own past school days, trade-offs, and missed dreams. Suddenly, it was like standing together on a precipice, poised to leap into undiscovered territory, hand in hand. Okay then, Dad finally said, determination lighting his voice. Let us start with our stories. We don't have to share everything all at once. Agreed, Mom chimed in. But we should support each other, no matter the past mistakes. Let us make this an opportunity for connection, not a platform for blame. And that was the turning point. Together, we began peeling back the layers. Initially met with hesitation, laughter soon filled the room. Each story revealed small pieces of ourselves hidden in the corners of our lives, laughs blending into tears as we acknowledged mistakes and struggles. As I listened to my parents share their feelings, I felt a sense of solidarity wash over us. Memories of my father's uncertainty when shifting jobs and my mother's worries about financial pressure came alive in vivid color, their stories mirroring my own apprehensions. It turned us into storytellers, each photo frame on the wall echoing with laughter from shared moments, with shadows of solemnity lifting as well. Little by little, the chains of secrecy began to dissolve. The binding of unspoken fears unfurling into something beautiful. Vulnerability became our strength as we faced the uncomfortable aspects of our journey. That night, tears flowed freely, but they were tinged with relief. We were not just sharing tales, but forging pathways to deeper relationships. The cohesion of our truth was becoming increasingly evident, adding texture to the empty spaces we'd left between ourselves, and as the evening wore on, a new chapter unfolded not just for our family story, but for me as well. I felt a spark ignite within, the dreams of pursuing my writing resounding in every word shared. Perhaps this would be my launchpad to express what authenticity truly meant. When we finally wrapped up for the night, I felt a lightness that hadn't settled in my heart for years. With our new foundation, I began envisioning our adventure in Paris, not just as a chaotic family trip, but a journey of transformation. Intertwined with laughter, grit, and understanding, we were building a story worth sharing. As I tucked into bed, The moon's silver glow bathed my room, and thoughts of my blog echoed in my mind. This was it. This was our story, our truth, a promise of love amidst chaos, laying the groundwork for our collective healing. Tomorrow, I would write it all down. This chapter wouldn't just be a collection of memories. It would be a testament to the power of transparency and authenticity, lifting us all together into the light. And then, before drifting into sleep, a singular thought filled my mind. Writing could be just as healing for them as it had been for me. This was our moment, a moment to be brave and embrace everything that lay ahead. And as we embarked on this new journey together, I felt a swell of hope. Could this transformation really inspire others? I couldn't wait to find out. Now is your chance to join us on this transformative journey. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss out on our upcoming exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help more people find their inspiration. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending below. I want to hear from you. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Your support means everything. Let's keep this community thriving.